Money is paper. Money is made up. So really what money is, it's a story that communicates energy. So we literally think about it, like we take paper, push it through a printing press, and like assign value amounts to it. Like this piece of paper, it's green, it's worth $1. This piece of paper is worth 50. This piece of paper is worth 100. So these are like certificates in exchange for energy. So when you really get that, this whole conversation has been bastardized because people don't really get what money is. They just simply don't get it. And it really goes back to they just don't get what life is actually about. And they don't get that the only thing that's actually happening here in this world between humans is the transaction of energy. And that our job is to love and be loved. Our job is to be the ultimate receptor, the receiver, and then give it away. So it continuously goes in and out. It's like blood in the body. We're all part of one organism. We're all part of this beating heart. And so it gets stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck. And it gets stuck because it goes back to like, I don't deserve it. Well, think about that, right? That's a whole other thing. Then that gets blocked, that gets blocked, that gets blocked. Now there's all this blocked energy, right? It's just energy. So think about how hard people have worked, how hard you may have worked already in your life to earn this energy, right? And the story you constructed about in order to make more of this, I work harder, I have to do this. It's like, just for a second, let's play a game with the universe. Just for a second, just try it on. You've tried on all that other stuff. So what if you tried on that if you held a certain level, a certain vibration of energy, it would match a certain vibration of energy? When I was 26, 20, 25, 26, I was working my last day job. And it was in a commercial real estate firm. And my boss in Brentwood, he owned, he leveraged it. So he owned this real estate, not outright. He had mortgages on everything, but he owned $1.5 billion in real estate. He owned shopping malls that were a minimum of like $300 million per shopping plaza. And he co-owned them with many, many investors. And I saw wealth change hands like, the minimum investment was like $5 million. And it was like, nobody did that. Everybody did more than that. So it was like just a lot of conversations. And all these deals happened between people smoking cigars or playing golf. And it was just like conversation led to this deal, invest it here, move this energy from here to here to here. And it's just like giant numbers. And this guy spent most of his time on the golf course. He was also very kind. And so his other free time, he would spend doing a lot of charity work, and he would also spend it doing a lot of spiritual work. So he had these like spiritual circles at his house, and he was a really cool person. He still is a cool person. And I worked for him. The guy who was his second, I'm muting people. The guy who was his second, I remember my first year there, they paid me like a base, plus they'd give me like points on deals that I like helped bring in. And I did pretty well because, again, it's all about energy. It's not about like, I didn't know what a cap rate was. I didn't have a real estate license. I met him because he was standing in line at the Cheesecake Factory and he was like, you have an amazing personality. You can sell ice to an Eskimo. You should come work for me. And I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I sell giant commercial properties and break them into pieces and talk to principal investors. And I was like, there's no way I can do that. I don't even know the first thing about it. And he was like, it's because it's not about that at all. And your vibration is just so on point. Like, you should come work for me. So I was like, okay. So my job was to like call different principals, people who were going to be diversifying their assets anyway, and set up lunch meetings and then go on these lunch meetings with him. And I would just like be me and like grease the wheels and have conversation, and we'd create rapport. And then he'd be like, here's the prospectus. You can see your return on page 14. Call me later. And people would be like, in. And all this money would change hands. And he paid me, obviously, like I didn't make millions of dollars. He paid me a flat fee. And then he would give me like points on all these deals. And so when I quit that job, I was making like $130,000, which was a lot of money for a kid who was 25, 26 years old. And I was doing it from basically just being a fly on the wall in these rooms. And I remember going in my second year to his second person who was in charge of like everyone on the team. and his name was Doug. And I wanted to make more money, and it was my review. So my base, like, what would my base be? And I walked in and I was like, all right, so I know last year my base was like 55 grand plus I got points and bonuses. And he's like, what do you want to make? And I was like, so for this year, since I did a great job and, you know, I was a part of this whole thing, I want to make $75,000 base and whatever. And he was like, great, done. So I walk out. So I was like, well, that was easy. And then I speak to this guy, Ryan, who worked with me. Like, he sat right next to me. And Ryan was like one of those guys who looked like a frat guy, like the right haircut, the right face, but kind of a, you know, jerky person. Drove this like Porsche. And he walks out 10 minutes later and I was like, how'd it go? He's like, it went really well. And I was like, yeah, it went really well for me too. But then I was like curious, like, what did he ask for? Like, I wanted to know what he asked for. So I was like, what did you ask for? And he's like, what did you ask for? I said, I asked for $75,000 plus bonuses. And he's like, and what happened? I said, I got it. He's like, me too. I said, so what'd you ask for? He said, I asked for 150 grand plus bonuses. I go, what? You've been here less time than I've been here. And Bob, like my boss, I'm like, he loves me. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, okay, why didn't you ask for more? I was like, hang on. So I get up from my desk, walk into Doug's office. I'm like, hey, Ryan just told me that he asked for $150,000 and you gave it to him. And like, you know, all those deals came through, like, you know, mostly all those conversations and the meetings I set up, like I was like crushing it. And he goes, okay. I said, so why'd you give that to him? He said, he asked me for it. I go, okay, well, I'm going to ask you for it. And he goes, no. I said, why? He goes, because you don't believe it. He goes, it's literally, he walked in, he's like, 150 grand plus bonuses. And I was like, yep, that's where he's at. So done. He's like, if you're there, you're there. And you're not. And he's like, you'll never forget this. And I was like, damn it. I was like, I don't want the lesson. I want the money. And he's like, so where do you need to be energetically for that? And I was like, He's like, honestly, he's like, you know how Ryan walks down the hall? He walks down the hall like he owns this place. I go, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. He goes, yeah, but it works. And he goes, you are crushing it, but there is a part of you that, you know, you're leaking energy. It's leaking. Claim it. Stand up taller. And I was like, and that was the most amazing gift, because I quit my job. I was like, A, he's right. And B, I don't really want to be here. And C, I am worth so much. And if I can really call in anything, I'm out. And I'm going to go do what I want to do. And I walked into like, let's do this thing.